tonight, we are fortunate enough to have one of those folks. The spotlight falls on Pat Montandon. Pat? Ta-da! That's it, right there.
I love you, Jack. I love you. I love your spotted tie, too.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to have you here.
Oh, it's fun.
And you are really one of those kind of people who, it just seemed to be famous. And it, you know, and sometimes you say, well, why is she famous? And then you start reading the background of all the things you've done. You've had a fantastic life.
And it's not through. I'm not through. Ask someone why they're famous, then they're not very famous.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to ask because I've seen you. I've seen pictures of you talking to Mother Teresa, for example, helping children around the world, writing books, being on television. But you came to the Bay Area not as a child. You were an adult by the time.
I was 18.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm. I was 18. Actually, I came to San Francisco to have heart surgery. I was one of the first closed heart surgery. They didn't even do open heart surgery then. And there were only 5 places in the United States where it could be done, and one was at UC Hospital in San Francisco. And that's how I fell in love with San Francisco. I found my heart in San Francisco.
They found your heart in San Francisco. Really, I had no idea. That's an amazing story.
It is, and well, my whole life is kind of that way.
Yeah.
Just
so you're 18, and then were you on your own at that point and stayed here by yourself and said, I'll make a name for myself?
12 years to a California rancher, and 12 years after that surgery, I decided, I got a divorce and came to San Francisco. I had $400 and a lot of self-confidence.
Okay, I'm confused now because you came here at 18, you hadn't been married for 12 years then.
I was just married at that
Just
time.
married at 18?
Yeah.
And then you went on for 12 years? And,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you met a California rancher.
Yeah. Can you believe we do things like that?
I don't know. Well, was he a nice man?
Well, it's okay.
Yeah, he's okay. How did you start getting into the papers? I mean, how did you start, why did I start seeing your name in Herb Cain's column, for example?
It's really a curious thing. I was very lonely when I came here. I didn't know anyone. And I had a job. I was a buyer for Saks Fifth Avenue, and I worked at Joseph Magnin. I wanted to meet people, so I started giving parties. Creative parties. I would invite anybody, people that worked with me, the butcher,
hearing about that, actually.
Yeah, anybody who seemed interesting. And the newspapers started writing about my parties. And the next thing that happened was I became, quote, a socialite. It's a word I hardly even knew.
Were you from Texas originally?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
You could tell.
When you use that accent, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Got me. And that just went on from one thing to another because I was built up as this big socialite party giver. And I was nominated as one of the top hostesses in the United States by Esquire magazine. And I was called the Jet Set Queen, which made me laugh. I didn't know people believed what they read in the paper. I couldn't even afford to get on a jet. Right. But you know, this reputation was building. And so show on KGO. Yeah. And hey, the rest is history. Here we are.
Well, the show, I remember, was the movie. Was that in the late 60s? Or
it was in the middle 60s,
middle 60s,
yes.
Yeah.
Pat's prize movie.
Yeah. And it was the afternoon movie, or was it the morning?
No, it was early in the morning.
There was the morning show and then the afternoon show. Every television station.
Exactly.
Especially Channel 7 used to have that morning movie kind of thing.
That's right. And you know, that show was so wonderful. And I've thought about why was that so? The movies were dogs. Some of them were okay.
Yeah.
But I think because it was live, which I really liked, and I was allowed to be myself. Yeah, I'd cry with the film. I would talk philosophy. I had like 20 minutes talk time, and it was fun.
And then you moved through into another marriage.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And he's now 33 and lives in Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
And then I wrote several books during that time.
Tell me about the first book you wrote.
How to Be a Party Girl. That was
the first one.
That was the first one, by McGraw-Hill.
The next one was at
The Intruders. Yeah. That I just told you, it's been optioned for a movie. And in fact, it's already been purchased for a film as of yesterday.
Yeah.
But I can't believe it after all these years.
Yeah.
And Films, Gramercy Films under Universal, has purchased it for a movie. So, hey, see you in the pictures.
No, it's
see you in the moving pictures.
Yeah. What you have with a lot of the guests we've had in this program, except even more so, is this kind of lust for life kind of a thing where I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep, no matter how many years go by. And we all know you're in your 70s.
I'm 74.
74. And, you know, it's amazing. I'm sure you've had a lot of sad times. I'm sure you've had a lot of unhappy times. You cannot
live without having sad times. And I think I've had enormous lows, but I've had enormous highs. And so there's a lot of contrast. But my feeling about aging, I really am out to slay the myths of aging because it's ludicrous. And we buy into those myths as a society. And I have another book coming out, I should just title it, Stop It. Just stop it.
Stop acting that way, right?
Stop, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was reading in the newspaper a report about an elderly woman who was hit in a crosswalk, you know, by a car. And I read on, she was 60, and that's elderly. We have to make the media stop doing that to us also, or we then become the elderly.
Well, the government does that. If you've read government papers,
we do it to ourselves.
It says elderly so-and-so, and it is sort of demeaning. I mean,
but we can take on the government, can't we?
Well, the two of us, yeah.
You bet we can.
I'll be behind you.
And all the people watching.
You. Right, yeah.
But it really irritates me. And when in the newspaper, for instance, they put a number behind a name when it has no relevance to the story, and she must be crippled, she must not be doing anything with her life. Well, let's have a little bleep here.
Yeah,
you know?
Okay, yeah.
It's such nonsense.
Okay.
And I don't believe in aging gracefully, whatever that is. What is that anyway? And that's passive. I'm not going to age gracefully. I'm going to continue to grow until the end of my life, this life, and beyond. No matter what the number is on your birth certificate, what matters is how you use your time.
Okay. All right. Now.
Okay. That's my sermon.
You go out. You speak to groups of people about this, right?
Yes, I do.
And these are groups who come.
Oh, I stop people in the street and speak to them.
Doing that. You're going a little too far when you do that. Do not start stopping people in the street. But speaking to groups is okay. They come, they see you, and your physical appearance. Okay?
Well, I've had a lot of help.
Okay, right.
I mean, everybody can get help.
Okay, all right. But, or maybe they can't afford the help, or whatever.
Oh, but come on. They just don't want it. It isn't a matter of...
You're not going to argue with me about that. There are people who can't do that. Okay, but so you go to a group of people.
Yes.
And they're there, and you're talking to them about... And I totally agree with your philosophy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm in agreement with that.
A little argument doesn't hurt anyway.
You know. But, you know, Pat, she looks great, and she can do this, and I mean, how do you get past that?
I don't get past it. They have to get past it. I think that anyone can say, well, yeah, that's okay for her, but. And the minute you hear that but, you know they don't want to buy the message. They don't want to have to do anything creative with their lives. And that but is like this big wall. It's like the Berlin Wall. But